Sayadaw says, today he will explain the pamatta and appamatta using the third aspect.
Pamattaအတွက်ဆိုလို့ရှိရင်နတ္ထိတကရိယတာလို့ခေါ်ပါတယ်အပမတ္တအတွက်ကတော့အဋ္ဌိတကရိယတာနတ္ထိတကရိယတာဆိုတာယနာပြတ်ချပြီးတော့အလုပ်လုပ်တာပါပဲအဋ္ဌိတကရိယဆိုတာကတော့မယမနာပဲနဲ့ပြုလုပ်တာပါယောဂီဟာဒီကနိုးစားကစပြီးတော့နောက်ဆုံးအေးရတဲ့ဝင်ပြီးတော့ပြန်ပြောသွားတဲ့အထိဒီအတွင်းမှာရှုမှတ်မှုတတိပဋ္ဌာန်ကြရတယ်မရှိဘူးကာယဝိနစိတဓမ္မခေါ်တဲ့အာယုန်လေးချက်တဲ့ကထင်ရှားပေါ်တဲ့အာယုန်တစ်ခုကိုမယမနာပဲနဲ့မပြတ်မချစီပဲနဲ့ရှုမှတ်နေရပါတယ်တော့အဲဒီရှုမှတ်ရမယ်တာဝန်ပြက်ကွယ်သွားလို့ရှိရင်နတ္ထိတကရိယတာဖြစ်လို့ရှိရင်ဒါပမတ္တဖြစ်သွားတာမယမနာအာထုတ်နေလို့ရှိရင်တော့အဲဒီအာထုတ်တဲ့ယောဂီပုဂ္ဂိုလ်ဟာအပမတ္တဖြစ်တာပဲ
The third aspect is in Pali to give the sense of pamatta. The word is used as anattita kriyata. And for the appamatta, it is attita kriyata. Sayadaw says, anattita kriyata means while the yogis are doing their practice, they don't do the practice in continuous flow. They are often taking rest in between. They are doing just little practice and then again rest. Again little practice and then again little rest. So in that way, when there won't be continuity of the practice, non-stop practice, then it is the nature of pamatta, a nature of dullness, a nature of inactiveness. Yogis must have the interest in the practice to keep continuously, except the sleeping hours. Since they get up from their sleeping, they should try to note all the objects whatever may arise at the present moment. All the time there should be proper attention in the practice. Then the nature of appamatta will be there.
Madhukane taniya kaipa lu de puggul haရှိဥစွာမော်တော်ကားကိုဆက်နှိုးပြီးတော့ဆိုင်ရာကိယာသွင်းပြီးကိုရောက်လို့တဲ့စီဥတည်ပြီးတော့ဗောလေရင်ကြောပေါ်မှာမမောင်းနေရတာပဲကြားရတယ်မရှိဘူးသို့တော့ကားကတော့ရရတဲ့အခါမျိုးတော့ရှိပါတယ်စ စီးတို့ဘာလို့ဖြည့်တင်းတဲ့အခါပေါ့လေရေဘာတွေထဲတဲ့အခါပေါ့ပြီးတော့ကိုရောက်လို့လည်းဥတီသွားနေတော့မှက traffic တွေဘာတွေဖြစ်လို့ရှိရင်ပြီးတော့ traffic light တွေဘာတွေအနီဘာတွေပြလို့ရှိရင်တော့မလွဲမကင်းတာအနေနဲ့ရတာမျိုးရှိပါတယ်အဲဒီကြတော့မရလို့မဖြစ်တော့ယောဂီကတော့မရဘူးဒီမရနာတဲ့အချိန်ဆိုတော့တိတာမရှိဘူးအိပ်ပျော်နေတဲ့အချိန်လောက်ပဲရရတာသူကသူအိပ်ပျော်သွားမှာအိပ်ပျော်လို့ပျော်မချင်းရတော့မကတော့မရဘူးပေါ်နေရတာဟိုကားကတော့စီဒီပါတွေဖြည့်တဲ့အခါဆိုစိတ်ရထားမလွယ်မကင်းတာဒီပြင်အခြားကိစ္စတွေရှိလို့ရှိရင်ရတာယောဂီကတော့ရရတယ်မရှိဘူးအိပ်ပျော်ခြင်းပဲရတဲ့အချိန်ပဲလားတိတာရတဲ့အချိန်မရှိဘူးအဲ့လိုသွားနေရမှာ
Sadhu says when people travel by car and they start the car through using the gear and while in the traveling process they are continuously driving the car according to the traffic road and traffic rules and regulations. But sometimes there are some occasions to stop the car to fill the gas or petrol, or to when there will be traffic light or traffic jam, then they have to stop in such cases. Sadhu says, in the practice, you shouldn't have any time to rest or to stop. When you wake up, since then, you should have the constant noting process until again you go to bed. There is no such moment to stop and to rest. All the time, practice work should be there without having any rest, without stop. Then progress will be there.
Kamara si phirတဲ့အခါကြက်ထားပြီမဲ့လို့ယောဂီများမလွယ်မကင်းတဲ့အနေနဲ့အစအသောက်တွေစားတော့ခန္ဓာကိုယ်ကြီးကိုစီထဲတဲ့အခါမျိုးမှာမရဘူးမှာမျိုးရဒီလည်းပဲမှတ်နေရတာပဲအစိတိခာယိတိစာယိတိသံဉာဏကာရီဟောတိဆိုတဲ့အတိုင်းပေါ့စားတဲ့အခါသူတို့တရားတောက်တဲ့အခါမုခဲဝတိတိခဲဝတို့ခဲတဲ့အခါနည်းနည်းကိုပြီးတော့ရရတဲ့အခါပေါ့လေလူရင်းကတော့အစားအသောက်ပေါ့အစားအသောက်ယောဂီတာစီဖြစ်တာပဲဒီခန္ဓာကိုယ်စိတ်ကြီးအများအားသွားနေအောင်ခုကားကတော့စီဖြစ်တဲ့အခါရထားမှစိတ်ရထားမှဖြစ်တာယောဂီကတော့သတိပဋ္ဌာန်စိတ်ကြီးအများအားလဲပတ်နေအောင်ရိခါဖြည့်တော့အခါစီထဲတဲ့အခါလည်းမရဘူးမှာဒါလည်းမှတ်ရတာပဲထိုင်တဲ့အခါလောက်နဲ့စီးရလျှောက်တဲ့အခါလောက်သာအလုပ်ဖြစ်ပြီးတော့ကျန်တဲ့အချိန်တွေမှာအလုပ်မဖြစ်ဘူးဆိုရင်အဲ့ဒီအချိန်တွေဟာရနေတာလည်းတူတူပဲ
Although the car has to stop when it needs petrol or gas because the engine couldn't run during that moment, but the car engine of Satipatthana practice shouldn't be stopped, even though the yogis are feeling the gasolines in their stomach. Even at that moment also they should have the awareness what they are doing. If they are drinking, they should aware that drinking as drinking. If they are taking food, they have to aware they are taking food. If they are tasting the food, then they have to aware that tasting the food. If they are drinking some juice or water, anything, then they have to aware that they are drinking something. So whether they take, whether they eat, whether they drink, whether they taste, and whether they lick something, and whether they chew something, whether they swallow something, during that moment also, there should be noting mind. Without noting mind, they shouldn't take those things or fill their gasolines to have strength to do the further practice. So therefore, during such moment also, meditators should be alert and note with full interest and having much attention towards the object, what they are doing at that moment. There is no stoppage in the practice.
Kuna yinjo bo ka le yinjo dai takara le hnung mama ne maung ni yare takara le hnung mia mia ne maung ara le shiပါတယ်ရှောင်စရာတိုက်စရာမရှိဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့နှုတ်တည်ပြီးတော့မောင်းရတယ်နှုတ်တည်မောင်းလို့တတ်မှတ်ထားတဲ့နှုတ်နဲ့များလို့ရှိရင်ပလိကဖမ်းမိမလို့ယောဂီမှာတော့နှုတ်မနဲ့မောင်းတာနှုတ်မနဲ့မှတ်နေတာခါလဲနှုတ်တည်ပြီးတော့မှတ်နေတာဘယ်ပလိကမှမဖမ်းဘူးအဲ့ဒါတခုတော့ခြားလာတယ်
While the driver is driving the car, it depends how much the traffic jam is there or not. If the road is free and no any hindrances are there in the traffic road, so they can speed up their car. And if there will be some hindrances or traffics, then they can again reduce their speed. So the driver has to reduce the speed and sometimes increase the speed. But in the practice, the speed must be in same flow, in same speed. Yogis don't need to reduce their speed and don't need to increase their speed. They have to run the Satipatthana car in the same speed all the time.
ဒီမှာကတော့နှုတ်မှန်မှန်နဲ့မောင်းနေတဲ့ကားလိုပေါ့လေယောဂီတွေလည်းပဲနှုတ်မှန်မှန်နဲ့တော့မှတ်နေတာတွေ့တော့ဘုန်းကြီးတော့အများကြီးဝန်တာပါတယ်ဒါမှမဟုတ်တစ်ခါတစ်ခါနှုတ်တင်ပြီးတော့မောင်းရတာလေးတွေရှိပါတယ်နည်းနည်းလေးပေါ့လေဒီမှာနှုတ်တင်ပြီးတော့မောင်းနှုတ်တင်ပြီးတော့မှတ်တဲ့ယောဂီတွေလည်းပဲရှိကောင်းရှိပါလိမ့်မယ်
Sayadaw says, Sayadaw is very happy to see the yogis who are really practicing with same speed all the time. But there might be some yogis who are trying to increase the speed. And it is also necessary sometimes increase the speed according to the ability of the noting mind, but not to reduce the speed.
တချို့ယောဂီများတော့တရားလာပြီးတော့အထုတာနောက်ပိုင်းမအေးတော့နောက်ပိုင်းစဉ်းစားမှုတွေပါဒီပေါ့လေဒါတွေဝင်ရတာကြောက်ကြမှုတွေကျိုးလည်းပဲပြန်ကန်နေကြတော့နည်းနည်းစိတ်အားလေးတွေရော့ပြီးတော့ပေါ့လေဒီရှေ့သွားမဲ့ဂီယာထိုးရမယ်ဆိုဘက်ဂီယာထိုးပြီးတာနဲ့မလို့ရှေ့မတက်နိုင်မလဲဖြစ်နေတာလည်းရှိတယ်ယောဂီ
But there are yogis who are near to end their practice and who have some engagement and some kind of previous various activities, housework, how to say, engagement in the household duties. So when those thoughts are coming in their mind, they are, although they need to gear to increase their speed, but they are using the back gear. So they are, instead of going forward, they are getting backward.
Kunya tine biara mawa. Denia yogi diaga. Girlfriend ji de. Era bi. Yam. Dria. I don't know if you.
So Sayadaw is not saying these words because of his mere thought. Once there came a yogi and who was telling Sayadaw why he couldn't do the practice well. He has girlfriend, so he was remembering the girlfriend again and again, and that is why he couldn't do the practice well. So that is why he is using back gear. That is why the difficulty was there, Venerable Sir, for me. So
automatic gear so
So Sayadaw would like to suggest the other yogis not to use the back gear. Just try to use the front gear. If it is automatic, then it doesn't matter.
Miyamana Tuanima Pati Urema who are modern said the charging winner charging Agamas and who are the lower. You know, a town shield of anybody delusion and lower. You know, she mean now we load me level IPB yard. Miyamana do alone, ah, to a winner. Niera is a year de Panima. No motor level said to the county. Namadu when I Taluwa Yogi got 7 Piaku, had a 3% said Le Panima, Mayamana, Matima. Dama say it in Azuli when I Uria Ari, Ching Ari, Miambia Manning Ari, say Susi Ari. There are Nigornadiari came with say Chile Ari. A 2 days count on the sea. Pomovino Atulu Sanda Ari. Now, a demi Ari, a linda day, the Kayala. You know, Nalushi, Kara, Yalalushi, but he don't know him, but he don't know him. Said Lepanima to a Peticharia Winilla, Yogi Level, a mere Jago, as I did, Mayamana Shumani. Lived on charging the စိတ်အင်အားစုချခြင်းတွေဝင်လာနေတာပဲနော်
Sayadaw says, as in the car, when the motor and engine working properly and the battery charging is getting strength, because of the continuous charging, the battery doesn't go down. And because of the proper charging, so the rear light also also be brightened well, and the front light also works precisely. And if you blow the, what is called that, horn, then the horn also blow in proper sound, so everything goes right if the charging is running all the time. In the same way, when you are driving the Satipatthana car, so mental force charging should be there all the time. As much as you charge the mental forces, then the Satipatthana car could be driven very well. And because of that forceful charging of Satipatthana practice, so you can see various natural things. You can see how you can keep away all sorts of hindrances, and how you can clearly see the noting mind getting brighter and brighter, and how you are knowing all those knowable natural phenomenal aspects one after another. Therefore, the charging should be kept running all the time, not to stop it. When the car stops and you don't use the car, then the battery goes down, and it may be difficult to use the gear, as well as it might be difficult to charge the battery again. In the same way, if you couldn't charge your mental forces in your Satipatthana practice car, then it may get down, and your practice may not be successful.
ကာမပတိတောင်းသွားလို့ရှိရင်ဆက်နှိုးရတာခက်တယ်ယောဂီတွေတခါတော့အကြောင်းအားလျော်စွာကာပတိတောင်းတဲ့အနေနဲ့ပေါ့လေကျန်နာရနာပြချပြီးတော့လုပ်လို့ရှိရင်နောက်ထိုင်နေနောက်အထုံးမှုတွေမှာအဆက်ကပြတ်သွားတော့အမှတ်နှိုးရတာတော်တော်ခက်တယ်ကျိုးလည်းပဲစိတ်ဓာတ်ကြလို့ကျိုးလည်းပဲကမ္မထမ်းဆရာနဲ့တွေ့ရမှာကြောက်နေတယ်ဇံဝဲဖြစ်လို့ရှိရင်ဇံဝဲကြမှာကြောက်တယ်လို့ပေါ့လေဒီမှာအဲ့ဒါလိုဖြစ်နေကြတဲ့ယောဂီတွေလည်းရှိပါတယ်ဒီမှာပြီးတော့တကယ်လို့ပတိတောင်းသွားလို့ရိုးဆက်နှိုးလို့မရဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လူတွန်းနှိုးရတာရှိသေးတယ်ပြီးတော့ကမ္မထမ်းဆရာတွေကအားပေးတဲ့အနေနဲ့ပေါ့လေယောဂီဆောက်ရှောက်ရေးတွေကလည်းအားပေးတဲ့အနေနဲ့တွန်းပြီးတော့နှိုးပေးရတယ်တခါလည်းဥဒ္ဓမာကတော့ပတိတောင်းလို့နှိုးရခဲ့တဲ့ကားမျိုးလို့အလုစားတဲ့စလုခက်တဲ့ယောဂီတွေတော့ရှိဖို့မပေါ်ပါဘူးပတိအကောင်းတဲ့ယောဂီတွေမတ္တိဆက်နေတဲ့ယောဂီတွေများပါလိမ့်မယ်လို့ထင်ပါတယ်
When you stop the car for longer period and the battery goes down, it is difficult to start the car engine. So in the same way, in your practice also, if your charging up mental force is getting down, then it is difficult to get progress in your practice. And when you cannot do precise practice, constant practice, so you lose your confidence and get the sad feeling yourself, and even you lose your practice. And when you lose your practice or your battery goes down, even you may afraid of seeing the meditation teacher. When you have to go to interview, you don't want to go to. And so other things that the yogis who are practicing here, there may not be such type of yogis who are afraid of seeing the teacher and going to the interview. Therefore, not to have that kind of fear in your practice, so constant charging should be there, not to get down your battery. Otherwise, you will be a same student who hasn't done his or her exercise properly, and when exam comes, while he is going to sit the exam, he gets fear in his mind. If you lose your confidence in your practice, so you also have such type of fear to see the teacher and to go to interview.
ဝိရုပိယဓမ္မကျက်ကဆိုတဲ့ပါဠိစကားလုံးကြားဘူးပါလိမ့်မယ်ဓမ္မကျက်ကဆိုတဲ့စကားစုမှာဓမ္မအယစတိပဋ္ဌာနာတိဓမ္မောဧဝကျမ်းဂန်များမှာပြထားပါတယ်စတိပဋ္ဌာအစရှိတဲ့တရားဟာဓမ္မစက်ကမှာဓမ္မအယယူပါတဲ့လက်တွေ့ပြောလို့ရှိရင်ကိုယ်မူရာဒီပေါ်တိုင်းမပြတ်မလားဆွဲမြဲစွာရှိမှတ်တဲ့ကာနုဝဆနာစိပ္ပတာခံစားမှုဝေဒနာတွေဖြစ်တိုင်းမပြတ်မလားဆွဲမြဲစွာရှိမှတ်တဲ့ဝေဒနာနုဝဆနာစိပ္ပတာစေကုစဉ်းစားကြံစည်မှုတွေဖြစ်တိုင်းမပြတ်မလားဆွဲမြဲစွာရှိမှတ်တဲ့စိတ်ဓာနုဝဆနာစိပ္ပတာနဲ့မြင်မှုကြောက်မှုအစရှိတဲ့အထွေတွေသဘောမူရာတွေမယမနာမပြတ်မချပဲနဲ့အမြဲပြတ်ရှိမှတ်တဲ့ဓမ္မနုဝဆနာစိပ္ပတာအဲ့ဒီတရားအဲ့ဒါလိုရှိမှတ်မှုမျိုးဓမ္မကျက်ကဓမ္မအရာယူထားပါတယ်ကျက်ကဆိုတဲ့သဘောကလုံငါရဲ့အကျိုးကိုနားလည်ပြီးတော့တန်ဖိုးထားတဲ့စိတ်နဲ့ပေါ့လေယူတည်တည်စိတ်စီဆက်ဆက်မယမနာပေါ့လေပြတ်ချမ်းမှုမရှိပဲနဲ့မယမနာသွားနေတယ်ဓမ္မတိအစမပြတ်သွားနေတာဘောတနာဆိုတာစက်ကခေါ်တာအဲ့လိုမယမနာသွားနေတာအစက်ကခေါ်တာအဲ့တော့ဓမ္မနဲ့စက်ကပေါင်းလိုက်လို့ရှိရင်ဓမ္မကျက်ကဖြစ်သွားတယ်
Sadhu says most of the yogis might know the word Dhammacakka in Pali, the first discourse of the Buddha. In that Dhammacakka word, Dhamma refers the practicing of 4 Satipatthana. Practicing the contemplation of body and practicing the various contemplation of the various feelings and practicing the contemplation of the mind as well as various mental objects, seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and so on and so forth. All these 4 Satipatthanas are used in that Dhamma word as the Dhamma faculty. And Chakka means keeping the noting process of one of those 4 foundations of my mindfulness without stopping in between, and one has to follow the practice non-stop. They has to do the practice non-stop. Noting must be continuous. Constant noting is necessary. And when that kind of process will be there, then the Chakka word becomes meaningful. And Chakka gives the same meaning. Non-stop turning the four foundations, one of the four foundations of the mindfulness. All the time noting should be there. Therefore, the Pavatana words also used in that first discourse as Dhamma Chakka Pavatana. Chakka and Pavatana has got the same kind of meaning. So Chakka means wheel. As the wheel is turning round and round without stop, in the same way, the Dhamma practice must be kept turning round and round all the time without having any gap in between. And to have that turning force, so one's mental power should be used all the time to note one of those four objects.
Magli de ku phit twa lo shi ye Megge 7 ပါးပါနေတာပဲMegge 7 ပါးပါပုံကတော့တနည်းဘုရားရှင်းလင်းခဲ့ပါတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့လို့အကြောင်းအလဲဆိုထပ်ပြီးတော့ရှင်းပါဦးမယ်
Sayadaw says in each and every noting there are 8 noble paths constantly following, and that fact Sayadaw had already explained before also, but because the consequence is coming here, therefore Sayadaw would like to repeat it in brief again.
Tisha Porai Shukushuka Ayungu Malosram Hana Ye Dwet Chow Manzwa, Janya Saipini Shukun Ayunzi, Shumades Lijao Tao Chow Mane, Don Ali, say Don Ali, Mianashina. Get a Samoa make him. Chow Manzwa, Janya Saipini. Malotam မှတ်နိုင်လာတဲ့သမာဓိမဲ့ခင်တွေဖြစ်လာတာပဲဆွဲဆွဲမြဲမြဲရှိမိရအာယုံမှာစုကလေးစိုက်ကလေးတခဏတခဏကြာသွားတဲ့သမာဓိမဲ့ခင်ဖြစ်နေတယ်ပေါ်တိုင်းအာယုံကိုအထူးကြောင့်ထားပြီးတော့ဆွဲမြဲစွာရှုရအောင်မှာစိတ်ကလေးစူးစီးမိတိုင်းဝိရိယစတိသမာဓိခေါ်တဲ့သမာဓိခန္ဓာပေါ့သမာဓိဆိုင်ရာမဲ့ခင်၃မျိုးပါနေတယ်အောင်လည်းမစိတ်နဲ့လည်းပဲချိန်ရွယ်ပြီးတော့အမြဲတစေပေးနေတော့တဲ့လာလို့ရှိရင်သဘောမှန်လေးတွေသိသွားတာတောင်းတာတင်းတာလှုပ်တာရွေ့ရှားတာစသည်ပေါ့ချိန်ရွယ်ပေးတာသမာစင်ကပ္ပမဲ့ခင်ပေါ့အောင်လည်းမစိတ်နဲ့တဲ့လာလည်းသမာစင်ကပ္ပမဲ့ခင်ပဲသဘောမှန်လေးတွေသိသွားတာပေါ့သမာဓိမဲ့ခင်ပဲဒါလည်းပါသွားတယ်ရှုမှတ်တိုင်းမှာအကြောင်းအားလျော်စွာပေါ့လေထိုက်တယ်လို့ပေါ့သမာဓိဆိုင်ရာမဲ့ခင်2ပါး3ပါးနဲ့ပညာဆိုင်ရာမဲ့ခင်2ပါးပေါ့သီလနဲ့ကပြည့်စည်နှင့်နေပြီသီလမဲ့ခင်တွေကသီလတွေမကျိုးပေါက်မပြောင်းမကြဘူးဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သီလဆိုင်ရာမဲ့ခင်တွေကပြီးနေတယ်ပြီးတော့လေယောဂီယာစကားပြောတဲ့ခါလဲမှန်ကန်တဲ့ဟာတွေပြောနေတာကြောက်နေတယောက်ရန်စကားတွေမပြောချူတာရင်ကျေးဆိုလည်းပြောတယ်ဓမ္မစကားယောဂီစကားပြောကြပါဦးတော်ပါတယ်ပြီးတော့အနှစ်မဲ့တဲ့စကားတွေပြောတာလည်းမဟုတ်ဘူးပြောစရာကြီးမှန်ကန်ပြောလို့စသည်ပေါ့ဒီမှာသမာဝကြမဲ့ခင်နေလည်းဖြစ်နေတာပဲစီရနာမဲ့ခင်နေသမာကမ္မနာမဲ့ခင်နေတတ္တာဖြတ်တာခိုးတာအခုဒီမှာ7 ပါးသီလစောင့်တည်တာ7 ပါးသီလစောင့်တည်တဲ့ပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေဆိုတော့ကိုယ်ပိုင်နဲ့မေထုံမှုတော့မှရှောင်ထားတယ်ဆိုတော့သမာကမ္မနာမဲ့ခင်နေဖြစ်တာမှာအာယုဖြစ်တာပဲပြီးတော့တမဝရောလည်းမှန်ကန်နေတယ်ဆိုတော့သမာအာဇီဝမဲ့ခင်လည်းပါနေတယ်သီလတွေလုံချုံနေလို့ရှိရင်သီလနဲ့ပြည့်စည်နှင့်နေတဲ့သီလဆိုင်ရာမဲ့ခင်300နဲ့ရှုတိုင်းမှာထိုက်တဲ့လို့ပါနေတဲ့မဲ့ခင်900ပေါင်းစပ်လိုက်တဲ့အခါကျတော့မဲ့ခင်7 ပါးတဲ့အဲ့ဒါဓမ္မပဲသတိပဋ္ဌာန်တစ်ခုဖြစ်သွားလို့ရှိရင်အဲ့ဒီမဲ့ခင်7 ပါးချင်းတရားဓမ္မအဲ့ဒါအစမပြတ်ဖြစ်နေအဲ့ဒါဓမ္မစက္ကပဲဒါလက်တွေ့ဓမ္မစက္ကပေါ့သီလလည်းလဲပတ်နေတယ်လဲပတ်မပြတ်ဖြစ်နေတယ်သမာဓိဓမ္မလည်းလဲပတ်မပြတ်ဖြစ်နေတယ်ပညာဓမ္မလည်းပဲအခါအားလျော်စွာပေါ့လေဓမ္မမပြတ်ဖြစ်နေတာအမှန်ထူရနေတာပဲဟ Boa Sarega Tamasecha, Guaga Letwi Tamasecha. Tamanimani, Jimon Chelsea, Lepani, how many so don't yet and I so don't know Choga, Lepani, Dama Tamaseka, Sibe.
So Sayadaw says, while the yogis are noting all the objects beginning from the primary object, rising and falling and so on, while they are noting, suppose if they are noting rising object, to note the rising object, they need to directly send their mind towards the object. To send their noting mind towards the object, the precise effort is necessary. Without that effort, one cannot get the object. So therefore, at first there will be the precise and direct, straightforward effort. Right effort is there, and that is one of the limbs of Eight Noble Paths. And while they are forcing their mind with precise effort to get the object, and because of that effort, the ability to note the object follows from the beginning to the end, rising as rising. The noting mind, which follows from the beginning to the end precisely, is the right mindfulness or right observing power. When the observing power follows in that way with the notable object, and the yogi's mind falls there, not scattering anywhere the mind, it sticks to the object and penetrates the object as it is entering into the object. Although it is momentary, but there is the power of concentration to stick with the object and with the object being stable on the object. So these three limbs are the concentration group limbs. When these three groups will be in the noting process, then gradually concentration get strength. While concentration gets strength, aiming also gradually becomes accurate. And the accuracy of aiming is the right thought, a right intention. And when the intention is accurately, forcefully coming to with the object, so the yogi is enabled to see the nature of the object, the phenomenal nature of the object. And that seeing means knowing the nature of that object, how the rising is there, what is in it. So all these things come into the yogi's mind, and they realizes that the object is moving such and such way, and there are such and such natures. That is right understanding. So these 5 factors of Eight Noble Paths are there to know precisely the noting object. Although during the practicing moment, the limbs of the precepts may not be clear how they involve in that noting moment. If you try to discern yourself, while you are working with the object, rising as rising, could there be any unwholesome physical activities occurring during that moment? Nothing are there as the unwholesome physical act. You are not trying to harm anybody, any being at that time. You are not taking life of other beings. And you are not stealing, as the yogis who are observing some 8 precepts and some 10 precepts. Because of the observance of precepts, even they are giving up the sensuous pleasures which they belong. So therefore, there isn't any kind of physical unwholesome activities occurring at that time. So the right action is there. And you are not speaking lie at that time. You are not speaking any false speeches at that time. You are not speaking harsh speeches at that time. You are not backbiting at that time. And you are not using frivolous talks, useless talks at that time. And here the yogis are so praiseworthy. They are observing noble silence themselves. So they don't use to talk. And they are precisely observing the precept which could be easily broken through the speech. So therefore, the right speech also there during the moment of noting the rising process as rising. And during that moment, you are not doing any unwholesome acts and you are using unwholesome speeches to earn your living. So right livelihood also there during that moment. In such a way, in one noting moment, there are the following 8 noble paths. So therefore, when one practices Satipatthana, there follows all 8 noble path limbs together with that practice. And those 8 noble paths, if you are noting each and every moment for 1 minute, then you might have 60 times of development of 8 noble paths. And if you are enabled to note for 5 minutes, 300 times you are developing the 8 noble path. If you are noting for 1 hour, then 3,600 noting, 6,000. The 8 noble paths are following in your noting. How wonderful the practice is.
Mata yogi ma phit aung lo shaung sha the chet ti shaung sha ya mai so da ma yana pi lo lok de ha shaung sha ya mai so da ka twa ni de kha chet the ne ya aung accident ni ba di ma phit aung lo mi ni pya de ma traffic light ka mi ni pya ya de ma yogi shaung the chet ti shaung ya Miyamana bene lowa me so da songwa the chet ti bo songwa the chet ti mi sing pya da be mi sing pya sa lo ji ka da le twa ni ya da ma ko yauk lo le si uti bi do set no bi do maung ni ya daနှုတ်တင်မောင်းni ya da bi twa ni ya da soအဲ့ဒီလိုဖြစ်လို့ရှိရင်ဒါအပမတ္တဖြစ်နေတာပဲ
So there are avoidable things and there are performable things. So while there will be avoidable things, yogis have to avoid them. And the avoidable things in the practice is taking rest. Now and then is the avoidable things. And so they should avoid those resting moment. Be full of interest in the practice, and non-stop noting should be there. And if there will be avoidable things, as the traffic red light, you have to stop and be careful not to have any accident yourself. And when there will be green light, you should be alert to drive your car. Otherwise, the back car will dare to collide with your car. So there are such things which should be avoidable and which should be performable, and those things should be done accurately. Otherwise, yogis become pamata, and they couldn't gain the significant qualification of appamata.
အဲ့ဒီလိုယူတည်တည်နဲ့စိတ်ဆက်ဆက်နဲ့မရမနာပါလိပေါ်တိုင်းအာယုံကိုမလွတ်တမ်းမှတ်နိုင်ပါမှနိဝရဏတရားတွေကကျင်းပါနိဝရဏဆိုတာဘာဝနာကုသိုလ်ကိုဟန်တာတဲ့တရားတွေပေါ့တရားစုတွေပေါ့တနည်းအားဖြင့်လည်းပဲသူတို့ဖြစ်နေတဲ့အခါမှာစိတ်ကြည်လျောင်သူတို့ကလုံးမပေးဘူးစိတ်ညစ်သေးအောင်ပေါ့လေညင်နွားအောင်သူတို့ကလုပ်ပြတတ်တဲ့တရားတွေကုသိုလ်ကိုဟန်တာပြီးတော့စိတ်ညင်နွားအောင်လုပ်ပေးတဲ့နိဝရဏတရားတွေအဟန္တာတရားတွေကင်းနေတော့တာပဲတော့ဘယ်လောက်ဖို့တန်လို့ဓမ္မပြောမှာတော့ဒီတော့ယူတည်တည်နဲ့စိတ်ဆက်ဆက်နဲ့မရတမ်းပေါ့မလွတ်တမ်းမှတ်နိုင်မှနိဝရဏတရားကင်းမယ်ဆိုတာပေါ့လေယောဂီကအလိုလိုသိလာတယ်
If the yogis are doing their practice with constant and diligent effort and constant mental forces, then there may not arise any hindrances in their practice. Because when hindrances arise, they are the enemies to prevent to arise wholesome activities. They stop wholesome activities not to arise. So therefore, when there will be hindrance, there will be stopping moment of wholesome deeds, especially the wholesome practice. That's why it is necessary to avoid or keep away those hindrances to have continuous wholesome activities or wholesome practices in the practice. So therefore, it is necessary to stop the hindrances, not to give any opportunity to arise them. To do so, the yogis have to have the precise noting process, noting mind in their practice, constant noting, non-stop noting. Then only hindrances could be kept away and wholesome deed or wholesome thought as the practice will be continuously moving on in your practice.